So today I'll talk about the transplant rejection, specifically what will be asked in the exam. So we have four types, but we will focus on these three. The first one is hyperacute, then we have acute, and then we have chronic. The timing is very important. Hyperacute occurs within minutes, and then the acute takes days to 6 weeks, and usually takes in the first 6 months, and the chronic one takes over 6 months. And that's the name chronic because it takes so long time. The next thing is the hyperacute is caused by type 2 hypersensitivity reaction, acute and chronic both by type 4 hypersensitivity reaction. And let's revise the hypersensitivity reaction. We have four types. The type 1 is caused by IgE. This is if you got stung by a bee. So then the IgE will be produced, and there will be lots of histamine, basically anaphylactic and so on. And then type 2 is by site 2 toxic, by preformed antibodies, usually IgG or IgM. Type 3 is immune complex deposition, and this is usually seen when there is an antigen. Let's say bacteria goes inside the body, and then the antibodies hold the hand of the bacteria, and then they both form complex, which is basically antigen, the bacteria, and then the antibody, and then this complex goes and deposits inside the tissues. And type 4 is caused by delayed, and as the name suggests, it takes so much time, caused by T lymphocyte. So in hyperacute, it's caused by preformed antibodies, but acute and chronic caused by T lymphocyte. It means cellular infiltration. So the lymphocyte will go inside the tissue and start causing damage to the transplanted organ. And the most common organ that is often asked in the exam is kidney transplant. Okay, so supposedly you don't know anything about medicine, so I will explain how does the body know that this kidney that comes from another human being is a foreign. It does not belong to this body. Basically, how does the immune system know that these cells inside the body belong to me and are not a foreign cell? Because each cell has a tag on it. Like exactly when you go and buy a t-shirt from a clothes shop, and on the t-shirt there is a tag. It just tells that this t-shirt belongs to this company. So each cell in our body has a tag on it, which is a small protein on the cell surface. And there are two types of protein. The first tag is called class 1. Class 1 HLA. HLA stands for human leukocyte antigen. Forget about the name, it just means that this is a protein that presents on the cell surface. Notice that class 1 presents on all nucleated cell in our body. So any cell inside the body that has a nucleus must have this type, class 1 HLA, and there are three subtypes, which is A and B and C. And then the second class is called class 2 HLA, class 2 human leukocyte antigen. And this protein is present only on the cells like macrophages or dendritic cell. And these are the cells that if there is anything foreign, that like bacteria or virus, anything that enters our body, the macrophages and the dendritic cell, the first cell that go and check on the bacteria and virus and take a sample of it and present it to other immune cells. So these cells have protein on their surface, and this is called HLA class 2. And there are subtypes, which is DR, DQ, and DB. That's why before we do any organ transplant, there is something called HLA, human leukocyte antigen match. Specifically, it's very important, DR and these. They must match. So the cell of the donor must match, these protein types must match the cells of the recipient. So the protein on the surface of the cells of the recipient must match the protein on the surface of the cell of the donor. Otherwise, the immune system will say, this is different protein, so I will attack these cells, and then rejection will happen. Why am I telling this? Is because hyperacute is caused by mismatch in class 1 But in acute and chronic, this usually happens due to mismatch in class 2. Plus one more thing for hyperacute, it usually happens due to ABO incompatibility. Because when we transfer the organ, inside the organ there is a blood cell, yeah? And also we don't just transfer the organ, we transfer usually the blood vessel with the organ, which has endothelium and red blood cell. So if the red blood cells type does not match of the donor, does not match the blood cell type of the recipient, then hyperacute rejection will happen.